Hey everyone, so this is a building and flying video for the rubber band powered brown B-2 racer. Links to the plans I drew and some laser cut parts you can buy in the description of the video. According to Wikipedia, the brown B-2 Miss Los Angeles race plane was built in 1934 and won that same year Grieve Trophy competition with a speed of 213 miles per hour, getting second place in the Thompson Trophy race. In the years following, it couldn't do any better than fifth place, and tragically, in 1939, crashed, and the pilot, Lee Williams, was killed. A replica of the B-2 can be seen at the Fantasy of Flight Museum in Florida. I drew out the plans pretty old school, just printed out a 3-view and traced them on tracing paper using a pencil and a ruler. Later, I traced them in a 2D CAD program. I made a video about this a couple years ago. And eventually use that CAD drawing to make a laser cut kit, which are these parts you see in this picture. Here's just a picture of starting the build, 1/16 balsa sticks and pins, kind of standard stuff. Here's the fuselage former cross sections, the grain direction of the wood. Once you have those formers in, the stringers gets very 3D. Here's a view down the center of the fuselage. And you can see I did that scalloping in the formers to prevent those formers showing through the tissue paper. Here's the wing structure. I added that dihedral angle to keep it stable. The tail, all these sort of details, nose block, wheel pants, basically just sheet balsa wood. And here's a couple views of the plane, just about ready for covering. You can see put in a little bit of reinforcement in those wingtip corners. Here's the nose plug, fits in like a cork, hardened out with some CA glue and covering tissue. The tissue itself is wet, which lets it fit those compound curves better. And details were applied with pens before I covered. Here's shrinking down the wing, pinning it down to avoid warps with a little bit of washout in that shim, and the fully covered plane. Just got to cover the bottom of the fuselage at this point. And here's some detail work in the tail. You can see how I'm doing lots of little trimming to get around that curve there. Plane sort of all assembled together, mostly covered. And here's the landing gear being assembled. It's got a piece of wire in the back with some flexibility. You can see that detailing and the cockpit hole, which I did just with paper. There's the wire in the landing gear with balsa struts glued on top of it. And this was sort of my method for turning the spinner. I've already sanded a lot of it down in this video, but basically sort of like a handheld lathe with this drill right here. This is a fun and satisfying process, and I went down in sandpaper grit, probably starting with pretty coarse 80 to 120 all the way up to 400 or so to get that nice nose cone shape. You can see here I've taken a 7-inch plastic propeller and I'm scraping it down to save a little weight and also to balance it. And I have notches cut in the nose cone. Here it is freewheeling with that nose cone glued on there to spin relatively true. A little bit of rigging on those wings and the plane is just about done. And it was a pretty good flyer, maybe a little bit underpowered in this video, but definitely some promise. I believe it's flying here with the loop of 1/8-inch rubber, 7-inch prop. 3/16 rubber might be a little bit better for this setup, but yeah, nice flying plane. Does sort of wide circles outdoors with that long fuselage. And there's a little bird. I think the glide's not totally worked out here, but definitely getting there. And thank you for watching.